Hello, friends and lovers. I always say this is an exciting day, but this is an exciting day, so jot this one down. These are the books that are on my radar for the month of June, and there is 11 books this month. This is getting out of hand. I will not read all 11 of them this month, but I love nothing if not to be ambitious. So let's go ahead and jump in. So June 4th is a very hard-hitting day. We have 4 releases on this day. So the first one is going to be Leather and Lark by Brynne Weaver. This is the author of Butcher and Blackbird. So this is the second book in that series. And this one actually looks like they strike a deal for a marriage of convenience, and that it is Grumpy Sunshine and he falls first. But it looks like he's a killer and she contracts him to make a kill for her, and in exchange, she's going to help him get out of legal trouble. So hopefully this is as fun and just fast-paced as the first one. I already have high expectations for this. I think it's going to be a really good time. And then next, we have Devney Perry's new release, Crossroads. This is her new series, the Haven River Ranch series. My hopes for this series is that she doesn't give me multiple cop romances. In one of them, he was a secret cop. And I was like, you can't just secret cop. It was like, surprise, at the end, he's actually a cop. And I was like, Devney, please. So Devney writes small town romance with a bit of suspense. And I just have a good time with them. They are very fast-paced reads for me. And this looks like it's going to be a second chance romance. Please, Devney Perry, make him not a cop. So I don't typically put too much YA on my new releases. They're just not something I'm super drawn to anymore, especially like outside of fantasy. But I do want to prioritize picking up young adult that features LGBT characters. I just want those books to be successful so we see more and more of them, because I think our young people, they need them. They need to see them. And so this one's called Furious by Jamie Paxton and Rebecca Patos. This is a sapphic book. It looks like one of them is becoming a Formula One racer and the other one like rides a motorcycle. I don't know, they just look cool. That was why I put them on here. I was like, these ladies, they just look cool. This is funny because it says united by fate. The two quickly bond over Mario Kart showdowns and Fast and the Furious films. So these are fast racing girls. I love it. I'm literally already obsessed. It just sounds like it's going to be something that's a little over the top. And sometimes that does really work for me, as long as it doesn't venture too into cheesy. And then also on June 4th, we have Cleo Evans' Broken Beginnings, which is her first small town suspense romance. She's normally a monster romance girly, but this has been sounding so good. It sounds like it's going to be angst and it's going to be delicious. It says it's a high heat, small town, romantic suspense. Okay, sign me up. I want that. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that moment changed me forever. Perfect. Sign me up. Oh, it sounds like the hero is her high school bully. I mean, like when you're from a small town, I mean, who else are you gonna marry? And now we're moving on to June 11th, which I have 3 releases for. So of course we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. This is her new science romance. This, I'm a little like shook by. It says it's a forbidden secret affair that proves that all's fair in love and science. So this sounds like it's going to be a little angsty. I have seen online this is her most like steamy work. So we will see. I don't want to know too much going into it, and I'm sure everyone else is tired about hearing about it. So we'll just move on, but I'm going to love this. And then also on June 11th, we have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I really loved The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, and so I also am going to love this. She writes closed-door romance, so you don't get the steamy, spicy scenes, but I feel like she writes them in such a way that some of my complaints when someone writes closed-door romances is that they don't do anything with the tension, and I feel like Catherine Center very successfully writes romance in a way that the tension does go somewhere, even if you don't get the like physical connection scenes. She's rewriting his love story, but can she rewrite her own? So it looks like the heroine in this one, she is a writer, specifically a screenwriter, and she is after writing a good romantic comedy. She is a new up-and-coming writer, and the hero in this is a famous screenwriter. And so she wins a contest and is able to work with him. That he's actually written a very bad romantic comedy. And so she's like, no, like, I need to show this man like how much better like romance can be than what he's writing. And he's like uninterested in writing with her because he's like, oh, like, this is a nobody. So, okay, this sounds like it's gonna have kind of like a rivalry going on. So I feel like that makes it a lot more fun. And next, also on June 11th, we have Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland. This is a pirate romance. It is queer. It's a fantasy. It looks like it follows a girl who is a former field agent for an intelligence agency, and she has stolen the single most expensive secret in the world. So it sounds like she is on the run. This already has fairly high reviews on Goodreads, so I'm already very intrigued. I really loved her last book. And then on June 18th, we have A Sure Thing by Joanna Lowell. I read one of her historical romances just the other month and I had a good time. And this one is following a trans man and how he, since he's now like newly out and living as a man, since he no longer like looks like a woman, he's no longer accepted in his painting circles because it's like a traditionally female thing to get into. And so he now has to deal with like not having like that as part of his identity anymore. And it says that he becomes entranced by a beguiling botanist. So it says he's a former painter and an unreformed rake. We love a boy who gets it. So what I loved about Joanna Lowell's other work is that I feel like she writes really fun situations and genuinely funny scenes while also putting a lot of emotion into her books. So I'm hoping that this follows in a similar vein, and I'm just so happy that we're getting a trans main character. There are not enough historical romances or romances in general that feature trans main characters, and so I can't wait to eat this up. And then also on June 18th, this is another book I put on here without really knowing much about it. This is again a LGBT queer science fiction, which I was literally thinking to myself the other day. I was like, oh, I wish there was more like space opera by women, because I do love a good space opera, but I feel like a lot of the really big popular ones are all by men. And so I'm hoping that this feeds a little bit of what I've been looking for. So this is The Stars Too Fondly by Emily Hamilton. It is part space odyssey, part rom-com. Emily Hamilton tells a tale of galaxy-spanning friendship, improbable love, and found family. So I guess they like accidentally steal a spaceship, so I can see where the rom-com elements are coming into the space odyssey. And then on June 24th, I have His Tesoro by Amelia Rossi. She is usually an Omegaverse romance author, but this one is her first mafia romance, and I also love mafia romance. So this is an arranged marriage, age gap romance. It looks like the heroine always dreamed of like a sweeping romance, but this wedding that she's getting into is strictly business. From what I know about this book, the heroine is in a wheelchair, and the author I know reached out and had sensitivity readers read this. So I'm very much looking forward to this representation. So it looks like they start out very cold to each other, and obviously some things change as that goes forward. So I'm very much looking forward to reading this one. And her last book that she wrote was a 5-star read for me. So I am hoping that this serves in a similar vein. And then lastly, on June 25th, we have a novel love story by Ashley Poston. I'm a little behind on Ashley Poston releases, and my goal is to hopefully like binge read all of her adult books because I know that I really like her. Like, I love that she weaves like very like nerdy things into her books without it being like over the top. And I feel like she always has like a fun twist on her stories that leave them just feeling like so different from other romance books that are traditionally published. A professor of literature finds herself caught up in a work of fiction, literally. So yeah, so it sounds like this is gonna have a twist. I'm guessing that she goes into a romance novel. The heroine loves to get lost in a good happily ever after, the fictional kind anyway, because at least imaginary men don't leave you at the altar. Oop, someone has some trauma. Ashley Poston stays right in the things I want to read. That was all of the books that I'm looking forward to that come out in June. If you have any books that I haven't mentioned, please let me know down below and let me know if any of these are ones you're looking forward to. And I'm really excited for the month of June. Thank you so much for watching.